Hey, I have a question for you. Are you taking good care of yourself? I mean, really, are you carving out time to make sure that you are okay, that you are getting your needs met, not your wants, but your needs met? Are you making sure that your emotional bank account is filled and fully deposited into? Are you making sure that your cup is full before you start giving to others? If you're not, or if you want to know more about self care, then today's video is just for you. Hi, I'm Lauren Wellington. I'm an entrepreneur who helps people realize their business and their life's mojo. And in today's video, it's all about self care. So sit back, take a few moments for yourself, and hopefully, the information I provide here will help you. Okay, so let's talk about self care. First of all, I don't have an official definition, but I think that self care is a requirement for people who are an adult. So hear me out here. I'm not saying that children don't need self care. I'm not saying that teenagers don't need self care. But for the people who are trying to keep a roof over the head and food on the table and care for other people in their lives, you need to have a practice of self care in your life. This is not some hyperbole. This is not something conversation from theory. This is from real experience. So I'll share a little bit about myself to give context. I truthfully, and my mother will disagree, but there hasn't been a time in my life where someone in my family, immediate family, has not been ill, has not required surgery, has not needed a respite as well as to recoup and recover. It just hasn't been a point in my life where that hasn't been. But I would say as an adult, an event occurred where basically my mother had a brain infection. She had an abscess in her brain, and that whole experience, I became the primary caregiver. Yes, my dad was around. I still have my grandparents, plenty of family friends. My sister was around, but I became the one that was administering the medication every 16 hours. I was the one doing the cooking and the cleaning and everything. And somewhere in the process, I got sick. And I got sick just because I was run down. So when she finally got to a point where she was independent and she could do a lot of things for herself, physically for herself, then I took a vacation. And in that vacation, I think I cried for the first day, like 24 hours straight, just cried. And then I ate a lot. But it was like decadent food, just stuff that just made my soul feel good. And then I just got really quiet and calm. And then I actually came back from that experience, like ready to just take on the world. But the important part about all of this is that the self-care aspect, if you don't take care of yourself, then there won't be a lot left of you to take care of the people who you care for. And in this particular point in time, with the pandemic happening, you might find yourself in a position where you're providing and caring for people and you're the one who's not sick, right? And so you're providing and caring for people who may have very mild symptoms to very severe symptoms, and then you're isolated on some level, and you need to figure out ways to make sure that you get what you need. So first and foremost, and for me, a part of self-care is making sure that you are getting the right supplements and the right food in your body. So, and we could digress on this topic at another time, but just trust me, our food nutrition value is nowhere where it used to be. So you're not getting enough vitamins, nutrients, and minerals from the food that you eat if you eat a very clean, healthy diet. If you eat anything less than 100% clean, healthy, then you're definitely not getting the nutrition that you need for your body. So you need to take supplements in addition to eating and eating better. If you're in a crisis, the comfort food might be the thing that just kind of gets you over, right? Like somebody's had a heart attack, or somebody's had a car accident, or you just found out a diagnosis you weren't prepared for, or somebody has COVID. You might go to comfort food for a minute, and it's really okay if you do that because that's what's going to help you cope. But the long term self care is making sure you get good food, good nutrition, and good supplements into your body on a regular basis. I would love to say daily, but a regular and consistent basis. So that's number one. Number two is you need somebody to talk to. Now, that could be your religious leader, that could be a therapist, it could be a really good friend, it could be different friends, family members, but you're going to need someone to talk to. You're going to need someone to be able to express highs and the lows, the frustrations, the joys, I can't believe that they said this to me. Like you're going to need somebody. And I have a therapist. I also have good friends, I have family, but I have a therapist, and that's who I confide in to. I know it's safe. I know there's no keeping score or no kind of like looping back when things are over. And that person in your family or that friend, like, well, when you said, none of that's going to happen because this is my therapist. So I have a therapist, but whatever it is. I remember when my mother had the abscess in her brain, I had a really good friend that was abroad, and I could just call and text them in the midnight hour for me here, which was daylight time for them there, and just talk, because the midnight hour is when everything was quiet and I could just get a minute to breathe, and they were up, and so it just worked out that time that way. But get somebody who's a confidant, somebody who you can just talk to. The rule is you're talking to them. They're not offering suggestions, solutions, and things of that nature. No. If they're giving you a lot of advice while you're just calling to express, then they're not the confidant that I'm talking about. All right. The third thing that you need is, especially if it's medical oriented, you need an executive medical team. So for me, I have a really good friend that's actually a surgeon, and then I have a really good primary care doctor. Those two people are my medical executive team. When I have a question, first of all, I try to understand the question, understand what's in front of me, and then I make my own deductions, assumptions, and kind of my own strategy. And then I seek their advice to see if what I was thinking was correct or, in the right line, or maybe they know some more information because that's their sector. Maybe there's a new study, a new drug, blah, 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 blah. But I have those two people. There will be people in your life who are going to give you unsolicited advice about how to handle what's in front of you. There's a few ways you can handle that, but most importantly, just let it go. Get your medical team together for your own advice, for your own direction, for your own decision making. Now the medical team might not be the actual medical provider, right? So the neurosurgeon that did the surgery for my mother, for example, he wasn't on my medical team, but what he was saying and the diagnosis and how he was moving forward, the way that I understood it and the way that I thought that things were going, those two individuals helped me. And they also helped me with asking certain questions that I hadn't considered, and also kind of breaking down some of the terminology that was being thrown at me. Because sometimes these medical people, first of all, bedside manner is just going out the way, but sometimes they on purpose throw a lot of big words because they want to intimidate you. And so when I have people on my team, then they can help me break it down. Also, it helps when the people who are providing care, medical care specifically, know that you have somebody behind you as you're advocating. So that's really important. Okay, the fourth thing that you need to do for self-care is to have that one thing that's yours. And hopefully that one thing that's yours is not food related. So meaning like the ice cream or that glass of wine. I'm not saying that those are not good coping skills, but that one thing that's yours that just kind of fills you up, gives you a little bit of a boost. For one friend that's getting a pedicure, For me, it's like really, 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 really funny movie. Like if it's a really funny movie, then that just kind of fills me up. But have that one thing and then just keep it coming, right? Especially when let's say the crisis is over and now you're into the rest and recovery phase. You're really going to need that because helping someone else recover is taxing. It's taxing on you mentally, physically, emotionally. So you need that one thing to kind of just keep you plugged into your mojo, right? Keep it flowing. Okay, now number 5 is get good sleep. Get good rest for yourself. Now, right now it's crazy, right? So the anxiousness is up a level, the overwhelm is up a level, the frustration is up a level. It's a hot mess. So sleep might be difficult, but do what you need to do to get sleep. I would suggest that if you look for a supplement or something kind of sleep aid that is not melatonin based. And so my reasoning for this is very simple. When you are taking a supplemental hormone that's a synthetic, which is basically what you're doing, like with melatonin and other things out there, at some point you're telling your body they don't have to make it anymore, this hormone, that you're going to provide it. So if they don't make it anymore and then you stop taking that supplement, the supplemental hormone, then your body's like, what just happened? It kind of goes into a shock and it might take a while for it to actually start creating the hormone itself. Plus, if you're taking a supplemental hormone, you need to figure out why you're needing to supplement your hormone in the first place. Why is it depleted? Why is it not producing at an adequate level to meet your physical needs? So I would say get a food-based supplement to help you sleep. You can try the teas. There are plenty of teas out there to help you sleep. You may have to try a few nighttime rituals like taking a bath, making your home really dark, definitely no screens after a certain time. There's a lot of information out there for how to improve your sleep, but I would say especially self-care, get some sleep. And then the last thing that I think is important for self-care, especially when you're providing care for other people, is to pausing, because one, there's some birds somewhere and they're having a very intense conversation. But two, I'm trying to figure out a polite way to say this. What you do is what you do, and what other people think or say or have to do is none of your business, and how you take care of yourself is none of their business, and that might be really difficult for you, but you do it anyway. So if that means that you don't answer calls or you only answer calls during a certain window, or if that means that you're only going to deal with people a certain kind of way for a little while, or you're going to enforce certain boundaries that maybe you hadn't enforced before, or it looks different for everybody, but how you do is what you do. And so an example would be, I'm dealing with a health crisis in my family right now, and somebody really tried to imply that I wasn't doing a good job, and my initial response was just to call them up and check them, right? Just who you are. You haven't been thinking about this. These are the things that I'm doing, and just kind of like justify myself, right? Explain myself. And then I was like, why? Because they're not going to come and fill in the space. They're not going to help. They're not going to help me, and they're not going to help the other person. They're going to just keep giving their opinion over there. So now I just don't take their calls. And that was the only way that I knew how to enforce the boundary. What I do is that I send updates via text to that person and to a few other people, so they know how the progress is happening here with the person that they care about. But it was something that was important to me to just keep my anxiety level low, to keep my stress level low, to keep my overwhelm low, because I'm the one providing the care and I need to make sure that I'm okay, and they're not going to do that. So these are just some of the things that I think that are important for providing self-care, especially when you are providing care for other people. I'll probably do a few more videos on this topic or around like advocacy and managing health crises and things of that nature, because I actually have a lot of experience with it. But I just wanted to check in with you. And these self-care tips are not just for when you're dealing with a crisis or a pandemic. This could be because you have a crappy boss, or it could be, that the kids are getting on your nerves, or it could be that, you just broke up with somebody. Not every challenge in your life is like a medical crisis, but I'm framing it that way because that's what I'm going through right now, and that's what I have the most experience in. But providing yourself self-care is really important. And there's probably 20 other things that I could have mentioned that maybe I'll mention at a later date. But what's really important is that, one, you make yourself a priority, the priority. You are really important. You're so important that other people depend upon you. So take care of yourself. Get some good sleep, get good food, have a confidant that really is in your corner. Put some boundaries in place for people so they don't overstep. And when you're dealing with medical issues, or not even just medical issues, that medical executive team applies to career choices, it applies to parenting, it applies to relationships, right? I think about parenting, and I don't want to take advice from somebody who doesn't have experience in parenting or parenting in that particular issue. People always have opinions, but you really want to have people on your team that really know you, support you, care about you, but also have experience with what you're dealing with. So then that way they can help you achieve the desired outcome fast as possible, right? And so you can either take advice from somebody who been there, done that, or it's their profession, or you can take advice from somebody who just has 2 cents, just 2 cents to give. For me, the executive team always works the best. So I would say have an executive team for whatever big thing you're trying to manage in your life. Excuse the noise again. I'm outside, the good weather, California. And that's all I have to say about that. But just take care of yourself. You're worth it. You're worth it to me, and you're worth it to the other people in your life. All right, until next time. Bye.